I spent most mornings talking to the ghost of my mother. The headstone was cold against my back as I skimmed over my biology notes. Hey mom, I'm still struggling to make friends like you asked me to, but my grades are still good, so I ran my finger along the edge of the page and it cut clean across my skin. I watched the blood bead up. Sorry, I said. I shouldn't be so negative. I packed the notebook into my bag. I'm going to figure out what the doctors missed with you, Mom. I swear. I pressed my palm on the stone and closed my eyes. I found this scholarship for students studying medical research. I wrote my thesis. I just need an endorsement signature. A voice from behind said, "You're still talking to that headstone." Aunt Renata stood at the edge of the path, coffee cup in hand. "Are you still getting straight A's? I'm sure your mother would hate to be disappointed in you from beyond the grave." I stood up, meeting her eyes. "I'm #1 in the whole school, actually. I'm looking into doctorate programs." She scrunched her nose and dismissed me with a wave. Then, a coughing fit took hold of her. I reached forward, offering my support, but she only backed away. My eyebrows drew together with concern. "Do you have the same illness my mother did?" Aunt Renata composed herself, straightening her back. "It is hereditary, child. You may have it as well one day." I took an eager step forward. "I'll find the cure. I'll save us both." Renata cut me off. "Don't be naive, child. You're still your mother's worst decision. What could you ever really accomplish?" She turned toward her car. "Come, I'll take you to school." She talked the entire drive as I gazed out the window. "Vice Principal Harlan mentioned you wore unprofessional attire." I blew the hair out of my face. "During soccer practice, I wore shorts. Sound the alarm." She pulled into her assigned parking spot in the school lot. "I won't let you disparage the vice principal's name. He is a good man and cares deeply about the school." I mumbled, "You mean cares about the school's finances?" A fist knocked on my window, startling me. I looked to my right and saw the devil himself. Vice Principal Harlan leered down at me. My finger instinctively locked the door and my aunt glared at me. Then she looked up sweetly at the man and lowered my window. "Vice Principal Harlan, how nice to see you." He smiled at my aunt. "A bit late today, ladies, aren't we? Bad day for it too. We have a new challenger for top spot arriving soon. You may not get that scholarship you wanted after all, Sammy." He shifted his gaze to me. My eyes widened in shock. "We never got new kids. Every student was a legacy, except me." Harlan continued, "It's great news. With the advantages that come with transfer students now, any student like you who needs financial support won't serve a purpose in our school anymore." He held my eyes before I grabbed the door and opened it, forcing him to step back. "Best I get off to class then." I hopped out before anyone could speak and ran to the school's doors. I walked into the school and saw security harassing the failure of the week. The students with the worst test scores always had their lockers searched and contents dumped for everyone to see. I looked down to avoid eye contact and saw my own reflection staring back at me from how polished the floors were. The private school was always spotless. The lockers along the hallways were the oldest thing about the place, only kept because they were easier to search. Everything else in the school had been updated constantly to remind you what it cost to go here, including the library, I noted as I walked by its glass doors. The library's incredible computers and vast book collection was a big reason I'd fought to attend here. I was putting my books into my locker and thought about what it really meant to attend this school. Always be useful, be invisible, and don't cost anyone anything. My friend Mara grabbed my arm. "There you are. You have to come see this." I quickly shut my locker door as she pulled me toward the front entrance, buzzing with an energy that set off every red flag I owned. Mara dragged me outside where a crowd of students and adults stood around a car with diplomatic plates. 3 men in suits were mid-argument with school staff, who seemed to be keeping them from entering. Harlan waved when he saw us, and I had to hold back the shiver going down my spine. Mara stepped to her right, blocking Harlan's view of me. I turned away to see a young girl off to the side of the car. She wore a hijab and a backpack too large for her frame. I wondered, was this little girl the one Harlan had warned me about? She watched the arguing men and took slow steps back like she was looking for an exit. One of the suits noticed, grabbed her shoulder, and pushed her toward the doors, toward me. We made eye contact as she stumbled over the curb and nearly face-planted. I caught her arm. "Whoops, you okay?" I started to smile, but my face fell as she leveled me with the nastiest glare I'd ever received. She lifted her chin and walked into the school. Harlan looked from her to me as a grin grew on his face, like an evil idea was forming. Mara saw everything and called out to the girl, "Is it bring your child to work day? Someone, find her a lollipop before she cries." Students around us laughed. The new girl turned around on the verge of tears and disappeared down the hall. 20 minutes later, the senior class was ordered to the auditorium. Principal Grove launched into his speech about excellence and institutional achievement. I was already tuned out when he said, "Today, we're announcing an exceptional new student to our halls and country." I leaned forward as he continued, "A certified prodigy, genius-level IQ, nationally recognized." He never once looked at the girl sitting in the front row directly below him. She wasn't human to him. After the assembly, Vice Principal Harlan waved me over. "Sammy, I have a favor favor to ask of you." He turned to the young girl, who stood pinned under his arm. I started my excuse to escape. "I'm actually really busy," when Harlan cut me off. "That's disappointing. I'd hate to start seeing you as someone uncooperative. Then any future you might have hoped for will be in detriment." I forced a smile. "How can I help, Vice Principal?" Harlan winked and told the new girl, "Sammy here is our current strongest investment. She'll be showing you around the school, teach you what you need to know." The girl looked me over slowly, then said, "There is nothing you can teach me. You will struggle if you try to compete with me." What was this girl's problem? Harlan only laughed and looked at us like entertainment. Prodding further, he mentioned, "I forgot to mention, this year we will only be supporting one scholarship student in their future endeavors. The one with the highest test scores will be chosen." Harlan was pitting us as enemies. I swallowed my pride, turning to the young girl. "I'd love to show you around. Let's go." Then I turned and started walking. Let's see who can't keep up with whom. I led us down the marine biology hallway where aquariums doubled as windows. I asked, "What's your name?" The principal forgot that part in his speech. She found the ceiling more interesting than me. I tried again. "We have aquariums. And if fish don't do it for you, we also have goats." She turned. "Is there a library here?" I couldn't hold back my smile. "The library has 2 floors and its own private server. The kind of research access I've only seen at universities." She almost smiled, then stopped herself, asking, "What do you even do for the school?" I gritted my teeth and answered the question she was actually asking. "You mean, why did they accept a poor kid? I test well, better than any other student in the state." New girl raised her chin and responded, "Until I showed up?" I laughed. "Yeah, I guess. My dream is to study rare diseases. What about you?" She hesitated. "I don't care about grades. I want to go back to my home country." I looked at her curiously. "Then why are you here?" She mumbled. "A bride with an American education is worth a lot these days." Suddenly, Vice Principal Harlan turned down the same hall. On instinct, I stopped and quickly hid in the crevice of a classroom entrance. She looked at me strangely before spotting Harlan as he stopped a girl. His voice echoed down the hallway. "Your test scores are an embarrassment to this school." The girl had gone still as Harlan went for the kill. "Are you really going to let some foreign child beat you?" The girl was crying. He wasn't done. I looked down the hallway and saw a classroom door open an inch. A teacher checked on the noise, saw the vice principal, and quickly shut their door. Not their problem, apparently. Suddenly, new girl's hand slammed into the locker beside us. Bam! Harlan glanced our way and regained his composure, fixing his shirt. He waved the girl off and approached me instead. "Don't forget about our appointment later." He walked on. New girl looked at me with guilt in her eyes. "My name is Rania, but don't use it in public. My family would disown me if they knew I allowed you to speak to me." Rania rushed forward. I reached out and yanked her back without thinking. Her eyes went wide and her hand flew across my face, nails drawing a clean line of blood. In the same instant, the football team's linebacker came barreling down the hallway and stomped through where Rania had been standing. I yelled after him, "Javier, watch it!" He slowed, grinning. "Sorry, see you at the game?" "You know it." When I looked back, Rania was watching me, holding the arm I'd grabbed, breathing hard. When she caught me looking, she dropped her gaze. I dug into my bag and held out hand sanitizer. "Germaphobe?" She spun away. "I've been taught not to let insignificant beings like you sully me. Don't attempt to help me again." Then she stomped down the hall, looking every bit like the child she was. I watched her go and felt the responsibility of keeping an eye on her, like she was a younger sister who was already better at everything. I shook my head and went to class. One evening, Mara and Vice Principal Harlan came over for dinner. I stood there, holding open the front door with a dumbstruck look on my face, as my aunt came up behind me and said, "Harlan here thought we could have a get-together." Harlan nervously looked out the door. "Are you sure your neighbors won't steal my car?" I rolled my eyes at his insult, but was distracted as Mara stepped inside. "Get your chemistry notes for us to study." We went to the kitchen table as my aunt gave Harlan the tour of our small apartment. Mara asked, "Did you finish the scholarship application yet?" My jaw tightened. "Not yet. I need a school board member to sign the form." Mara narrowed her eyes. "Has my uncle not done that yet?" I shook my head. "Harlan told me I need the top grade in the interdisciplinary exam in order for him to sign it, but Rania's taking it too." Mara's expression went cold. "Rania is nothing. Stop acting like she's already won." I almost smiled and excused myself to use the bathroom. I stopped walking when I heard voices in the hallway. Harlan whispered, "You need to manage her better. The school board is meeting soon, and I'd hate to report a troubled student." My aunt whispered back, "She's just curious. If your niece creates further problems for the administration, I will have no choice but to review your position." 9 years is a long time to lose, Renata. I stood with my back flat against the wall. Panic ate at my brain as I worried for my aunt. Aunt Renata's voice trembled but gained strength. "No, you need my niece. She's the best scholarship student you've ever had." I felt pride bloom in my chest for a moment, before it was smothered by Harlan's laugh. "That new foreign girl? She's the future. Smarter and has less complications than your niece." I'd heard enough, raised my chin, and walked toward them. "Sorry to interrupt. I found a discrepancy in the coursework of one of my teachers. I was hoping you could take a look. Harlan put on a fake smile. How conscientious. Then he checked his watch. Unfortunately, I don't have time today. Mara, we're leaving. His voice carried through the apartment. I walked him to the door. Mara caught my eye on the way out. I locked the door and leaned against it, exhausted. 3 weeks in, and the school was plastering Rania's face on posters everywhere, like she was a mascot. I was disgusted by how much they were using a child and tore down the poster hung on the cafeteria door. Mara watched me, concern on her face. She scanned the cafeteria as we walked in. She smirked when she found her target and walked over to Rania, who hid behind her hair. Mara loudly taunted her. "Ah, no baby bottle for your milk? What a big girl." The cafeteria burst into laughter. Rania poked at her food, not eating a bite. I realized with a gasp she was even skinnier than the day I met her. Was she eating? Then Vice Principal Harlan walked in, stealing all the attention. He announced loudly, "Congratulations to our youngest student Rania, whose scores earned the school an academic excellence trophy." The cafeteria slowly clapped, confused to cheer for someone they just humiliated. Rania didn't look up from her tray, proving this moment was for Harlan to feed his ego. Mara meanwhile stared daggers at her uncle. Harlan caught it and walked over. Putting an arm on Mara, he leaned down to whisper in her ear, "Try to pick the winning side, niece." Mara stormed off. Later, I was walking the hallway when a waterfall of color caught the corner of my eye. Hundreds of lollipops fell out of Rania's locker and scattered across the floor. Students crowded to laugh. "Are those for after nap time? Look, it's her report card rewards." Rania calmly shut her locker and walked away, head held high. I followed her through the door of the bathroom and found Rania on the floor against the far wall, knees pulled to her chest, a vape between her fingers, crying without making a sound. She looked tired. I sat down across from her. "Those things will stunt your growth, you know." She laughed, then fell apart. "I didn't choose this school," she explained. 8 months ago, Vice Principal Harlan came to my home. He told my father the school would pay a monthly stipend if I skipped a few grades and enrolled. All I had to do was take a few tests here and there to improve the school's ratings. My dad thought it was an honor for his daughter to get into a prestigious private school. She curled into herself. "I was always meant to be sold off at 18. He just couldn't wait." I slowly reached out and touched her shoulder. She flinched before leaning into my side, and I held her while she cried. When she went quiet, I asked, "Why do you keep missing class?" She looked up at me. "That's when the vice principal has me taking tests. Every exam I take, the school collects a disbursement. I assumed he was doing the same with you." I looked away. She was right. I'd just learned not to say it out loud or risk getting kicked out. She frowned. "I hate not being a regular kid. I'm a revenue source, just like you." I tried to reassure her. "One of us can get the scholarship though. We can change our lives." She shook her head. "No, as long as people like Vice Principal Harlan are in charge, we'll always be used and discarded." She got up and walked out, leaving me alone on the floor staring at the space she'd been. I found Aunt Renata that night, looking sickly and popping medication. My heart clenched as I approached slowly and asked, "What happens to a student's scholarship if that student causes problems for the administration?" Her voice came back pure ice. "Why are you asking me that?" I backed up. "No reason." I hesitated and asked, "When's the next school board meeting?" She chewed on her lip before answering, "In a month." "Why?" I rubbed my neck. "Forget I asked." I turned, but Renata's voice stopped me cold. "Harlan won't respond well losing to a child. You'd better plan carefully." I nodded and ran to my bedroom. I found Rania in the library the next morning, struggling to keep her eyes open as she read a book. I slipped into the chair beside her. "I'm not going to say anything." She looked at me, understanding what I actually meant. "Then what are you going to do?" I looked around, making sure no one could hear us. "I'm going to look into the grants awarded myself." Her hand closed around my wrist. "If the vice principal finds out you're looking, he will end you. Forget being expelled." I pulled free just as Harlan appeared from around the bookcase next to us, and my whole body locked up. He crossed his arms. "Now, ladies, I would never harm a student." His smile widened. "But what exactly is it you're looking for that would get you into this much trouble?" I swallowed, realizing he'd overheard us. I said, "A banned book. I need it for my research." Harlan peered down at me, as if waiting for me to crack and spill all my secrets. I didn't blink as he replied, "Rania is right. Best not look into things that will only cause you trouble." I ignored his warning and went over to the computer area, then pulled up every financial disbursement for the school over the past 2 years. I found 5 scholarships listed for academically exceptional students. Then I discovered my grades were apparently worth about $100,000 a year to the school. That didn't fit what Harlan always told me. I kept scrolling and found a list connecting each scholarship student to whoever enrolled them. Harlan was involved with every single one for the past 6 years. I took pictures and emailed them to myself before I closed the browser. I sat back, wondering if Harlan was earning extra money for scholarship students. The very next morning, I learned I was onto something when Harlan called me to his office. He sat on the edge of the desk, anger in his eyes as he leaned into my personal space bubble. principal. I hear you've been looking into school funding. My stomach plummeted. How did he learn so quickly? He continued, I'd prefer you focus on your academics. I opened my mouth to say I hadn't been looking at anything that mattered, and what came out instead was, why is only your name? I stopped as he leaned forward and ran his eyes over me slowly. I shook with rage and fear. I held out my hand to create distance and a bridge between us. I apologize. It's not my concern. I strive to be a model student, Vice Principal. He shook my hand greedily. My dear Sammy, try not to look into things that don't concern you. Otherwise, you will lose your place here. And how will you get into medical school then? He was right, and I hated it. When he let go, I walked into the hallway feeling defeated. The picture frames outside his office showed 6 years of scholarship students, each with a plaque listing their accomplishments. I stood there until my hands stopped shaking, wondering if any of them had the same doubts I had. Then I heard footsteps and looked up to see a secretary leading Mara toward me. Mara took one look at my face, and her confusion transformed into anger as she walked into Harlan's office and the door closed between us. Renata was waiting at the dining table when I got home. My mom's absence was loudest whenever Renata was upset with me. My mom and her looked alike, but only one of them loved me. She got right to it. The vice principal called me directly today. I covered for you and told him you were stressed and acting out. Her hands folded on the table. I have been at that school 9 years. Those 9 years are why you're enrolled there. Your grades keep you in good standing. But if you do anything further to upset the administration, I will lose my position. Do you understand what I am telling you? My chair scraped back and I ran to my room, hiding like the child I felt like. Every time I tried to do something, I got caught by Harlan and made everything worse. The next day, I paced in front of my mom's headstone as Rania approached under a gray sky. She looked exhausted, with bags under her eyes. She nodded to the headstone and asked, Your mom? I nodded. I come here every week. It's the only place I could think of where we wouldn't be overheard, and it gives me courage. She crossed her arms. And why exactly do you need courage? I met her eyes. I want to expose Vice Principal Harlan. She burst out laughing, the first time I'd seen that from her. She wiped away tears. All by yourself? What could someone as insignificant as you possibly accomplish? I smirked. Who says I'm alone? I waved to the figure approaching behind her. She turned and saw Mara walking toward us, then turned back to me, unimpressed. Mara stopped a few feet away. I can't believe all you texted was an address and a time. You're lucky I showed up. Rania scoffed. She'll tell him everything. We can't trust her. Mara crossed her arms. Do you think his insistence on perfectionism stops once he leaves the school? Fun fact, I'm not allowed dinner if I don't pass his practice exams first. I hate my uncle. I added in. We can trust her. Rania wasn't convinced. What could you possibly contribute? Mara crossed her arms. After I embarrassed you both, Uncle trusted me enough to leave me in his office. I heard him talking about moving scholarship money into a private account. My jaw dropped. He's stealing from the school? Mara nodded. I pulled out my phone and showed them the screenshots from the library and explained. I discovered for the past 6 years, Harlan had personally enrolled every high-testing scholarship student. I looked around the quiet cemetery and insisted, Mara, we need hard proof of that account, and anything else he'd want kept quiet. Mara smirked. I already got a head start on that first part. I hugged her so hard she squeaked. Rania tapped her chin. You can't just expect a crowd to show up and believe you. I smiled. That's exactly my plan. The school board met at town hall. 5 board members sat behind a long table. Harlan's seat at the far end was empty. My phone buzzed with a text from Mara. I sent my uncle an anonymous tip about a girl fight on campus. Should buy us 35 minutes. Rania was already in the front row of the public section when I sat beside her. My leg bounced. Rania uncharacteristically took my hand and squeezed. The folder of proof sat in my lap. I put one hand flat on top of it and kept it there until the session started. As soon as the board said, "Are there any public comments?" I walked to the front podium with my head held high. Hello, I'm a current student and I have documentation proving a faculty member has been skimming scholarship funds and made inappropriate use of authority with multiple underage students. And a man was on his feet before I finished. This is highly inappropriate. Who are you to make these accusations? The board chair held up one hand. Sit down, please. She looked at me. Continue. I laid everything out, especially the grueling testing schedule meant to earn the school money. When I got to the contracts, I looked at Rania. She stood and came to stand beside me, then described her own experience. I've spent the past 3 months without attending a majority of classes. Instead, I spend all my time taking tests for the school. Suddenly, the door at the back of the room opened. Harlan came in faster than a composed man should. He spoke over Rania. I apologize for my lateness. There was an urgent matter on campus. He slid a paper in front of the board chair. I'm submitting a form to cancel a student's scholarship. Her behavior has been a serious concern. He turned, saw me, and clutched his chest in mock surprise. Oh my, it seems that the very student is here with us today. I didn't realize her behavior had become this erratic. He shook his head and pointed at me. This is what happens when we extend opportunities to students who haven't haven't earned them. Some people just can't be saved from where they come from. My face went hot. I kept my eyes on him and refused to look away. A chair scraped from the back. Aunt Renata stood and hesitantly raised her arm. Excuse me, I apologize for the interruption, but may I speak? I've been a member of the administrative staff for 9 years. Harlan smiled. Renata, of course. Step forward. She walked forward, ignoring my pleading look entirely. She took the podium. I can confirm everything these students said is correct. I can also inform the board that the disbursement of scholarship funds is entirely controlled by Vice Principal Harlan. She didn't look at him once while she threw him under the bus. When she sat back down, the room erupted. Parents were on their feet, yelling. The board whispered as Harlan's face went pale and he ran toward the exit. Grab him! Someone shouted, and the guard standing by the door tackled Harlan to the floor. His breath got knocked out of him as he landed and groaned in pain. Half an hour later, the board chair announced to the room, a formal compliance investigation will begin immediately. The vice principal has been removed from all his duties and the police have been notified. The room cleared slowly. I stood in the middle of it. A board member came over and extended her hand. I shook it. You're a very brave young woman. Before she could turn away, I reached into my folder and pulled out my scholarship application. I was wondering if you'd be willing to sign as my school board endorser for a pre-med scholarship. She looked at the application, then at me. She chuckled softly and took the pen from her own jacket, signing the endorsement. Good luck, she said, and meant it. My throat pulled tight and I let the pride in. Rania and Mara were waiting in the hallway. I asked, you guys want ice cream? They both looked at me like I'd suggested eating garbage. I sighed. A salad bar then? They both nodded and walked ahead of me. I had some very interesting friends, but I smiled because I had friends.